I think everyone that's been to the Antarctic can say that it's really changed their life, even if they've only gone once. But of course, we've spent a little bit more time than that, and definitely in the wintertime you have other effects like the T3 syndrome, which can affect your short-term memory and your thinking. It's kind of like thinking through a vat of molasses, if you would, yeah, if you will.
Yeah, it's in some ways it's like a monastic existence. You just go down there. You've got a couple of bags that you take with you for the year, and that's it. You know, you can't duck out to the mall and buy something. What you've got is what you've taken with you in your two bags, and you have to create your own entertainment. You're forced to socialize with the people around you. So it's definitely a different type of existence.
Right. So I guess that's the social adaptation, but I mean, not to get metaphysical, but I mean, like a sense of time and space and how that affects you. And we notice you use a lot of time lapse, and I wonder if that's that technique is an influence of kind of where your mind is when you've spent that much time there. And
Yeah, well, initially the time lapse was just a means of conveying it, because even now the technology doesn't even exist to be able to shoot in the winter down there. But at the same time, it does sort of convey the feeling much better than a photo or regular video does. So it's a lot more contemplative, which is a lot more of what your state of mind is at the time.
Yeah, especially in the Antarctic, because when you're there, you can never really describe it, or even in a film such as ours, what it's like to actually be standing there and seeing what you're seeing and breathing the air and everything. So the time lapse we've found is really the best way to actually really convey that feeling of being there. Yeah, it just gives that sense.
right. Very early on, we get a sense of the challenges that you had to tackle from a technical point of view, and kind of applying human ingenuity to the conditions in which you're dealing. Maybe just talk a bit about some of the things you learned, some of the things you invented, some of the stuff that.
Yeah, well, the main thing is the power supplies for the cameras, because most of the cameras will shut down after about 10 minutes in the cold, so I was hauling around car batteries to keep them going. Most of the electronics are generally good down to about -40, so long as you've got a reliable power supply. But once you start to get around -60 or so, you'll actually start to run into mechanical problems where it's just too cold and the shutters will start snagging and jamming, and just the electronics themselves, the electronic components will change their physical properties at that sort of temperature, so you just get all sorts of weird things start to happen. And then for motion control, pretty much anything commercial is a waste of time, because it'll have a rubber drive belt in it which will just go solid and snap in the cold. So just really simple basic technology is what works best.
Yeah, I mean, he's gone to the local department store and picked up a skateboard and taken it apart and used the wheels for his dollies and things like that. So he's quite inventive, and Kiwis are generally known for that. He's sort of like the equivalent of MacGyver, I suppose.
Were there any moments where you said, "This is crazy. Why are we doing this"?
Not really.
Well, yeah, I guess there was one time when I was out in the cold, and I really could sense the danger in the cold, and I felt like if I had stopped moving even for just a minute, that it might just take me. So I have been in that situation where I've been so cold that I was a little bit worried for my well-being.
Well, and of course there have been times when I've been out
Yeah.
shooting and just got so immersed in what I'm shooting at the time that
Yeah. Like that time I had to bring clothes to him because he was outside shooting a scene out in -40 with his jeans on, and I had to bring him equipment just to save his life, I suppose.
We've been thrilled to have you at this festival. I know you're doing the festival circuit, but maybe a few words about your experience here in Edmonton.
Yeah, I think it's been a great festival. Like the people have all been fantastic to work with, and the screening facilities
Oh,
have been brilliant here too.
Fantastic. Yeah, we were just
Yeah.
really impressed with the facility, the screen, the sound was amazing. It was almost the same as what we experienced when we were doing our post-production at Park Road Post in New Zealand. So yeah, very, very good. And we think the city's wonderful too.
Well, we're so happy to hear. Thanks.
Thank you.
All the
Thanks.
best. Yeah.